Hey folks, how are you? So I'm going to be answering a question that I received, and someone asked, how do I know when I'm spiritually advanced? Or how do I know when I'm spiritually successful? And they kind of put out an example. Is it when I can have deep intuition, or when I have like all these gifts of like clairvoyance and stuff? And I was like, well, that's one aspect of being spiritually advanced, but that's not the full aspect. So when you think about spirituality in its wholeness in regards to advancement, so in the same way you go to the doctor for your physical health, the doctor just doesn't put the stethoscope to your heart, check it, and say, okay, good to go, your heart's working well, bye, see you next week, or next year, or next 6 months. What happens? They put the stethoscope to your chest, listen. They then maybe do the, what is it called? They hit your knee and elbow to see if it, does their reflex reaction. They might also put something in the ear, see if your ears, if you have any like wax, any sort of build up in there. They look at your tongue, make sure your tongue is working. They do all these things to make sure if you're healthy physically. So it's just not one aspect. And then if all those things work well, okay, great, that's good. Now let's take your blood, right? Let's see what's happening there. So realizing that the physical self, there's many aspects to make oneself physically healthy, physically successful. In the same way, same thing for spiritual success and spiritual advancement. So one way to monitor that is to say, okay, well, yes, maybe I do have some spiritual gifts in regards to like being clairvoyant, or clairsentient, or clairaudient, just, the clairs, right? Being able to really be in tune with that spirit, with that soul sense. Sometimes people call it downloads. You receive a download, intuition for something, right? That's great. That's a great gift to have. Some people have other gifts in like healing, also being able to heal people, which is great, just like naturally. Some other people over time, so I know for me, I'll say, I practiced the energy healing system called pranic healing, which was created by Grandmaster Choa Kaksui. And most other healing systems that I know about, like healing touch and Reiki and other ones are really like healing science, healing arts. So it's really talking about and focusing on the art of healing. Pranic healing is really more of a science because everything is really broken down. There's a methodology to every single thing, step-by-step approach in regards to healing. But over time, I noticed that there were certain spiritual gifts that came about doing that work over time that I was like, oh, okay, I can now feel certain things I wasn't able to feel before in regards to being clairsentient, or there's certain things that I can see before that I haven't seen before, clairaudient. Clairvoyant. Also hearing things I haven't necessarily heard before, okay, clairaudient, so that's one aspect of spiritual development and advancement. Another aspect of it is how, when things happen in life, what is your reaction to them? So do you get very emotionally connected to something, whether good or bad? Right? So if something happens, it's like, oh my God, how that happened? Why that happened? Oh my gosh, like you're so frantic. On the other end, when something maybe really awesome happens, you're like, yes, yay, yay. So you have all these major highs and lows. You'll know when you're spiritually advanced. When something good happens, it's like, okay, great. I'm happy. I feel maybe a sense of peace. But it's not like major high, like, oh my God. Because then what happens? After that temporary moment of the high, you come back down. And you try to find something else to put you back up on that high. But if you're spiritually advanced, you don't necessarily need all those highs all the time, because no matter where you are or what's happening in life, you have a sense of the core of yourself. You have the sense of joy and happiness, no matter what's happening. Even when things might be going wrong, it's like, oh my God, I'm so frantic. What's happening? The core of yourself, you're like, okay, maybe what's happening here? What's the lesson here? You don't get too emotionally involved in it. So I know for me, a good example of this is I'm going through a particular transition now in life. I remember I told certain people of my family, and they freaked out. Oh my God, what are you gonna do? What's happening next? You have to get things together. I'm like, thank you for your concern. I appreciate it. That's not where I am. It's not. Because I believe in the core of myself and the spirit, like this transition is deeply spirit-led to the point where I almost feel a sense of bliss when I connect to this transition. Something I've never even felt before. I never felt this blissful about a change or a transition. Where other moments in life I might be freaking out, like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I'm not there. I've been doing the work for years to get me to this point, to this transition in life. So that's one other thing, right? Emotionally involved. Third aspect, because I'll even say this. Like sometimes there's moments in which something's happening or happens, you might look at someone and go, why do they feel so upset? Like what's happening? Like if you sometimes have that thought, like you might be developing spiritual advancement because you realize within yourself, like, oh, well, this thing isn't that big of a deal, but you are letting your emotions guide you in this moment and not your spirit guide you, connect you to the core of yourself, and then make the decisions or do like the next best thing in that moment. So that's another one, right? So we have spiritual gifts, which is great. That's one aspect. Let's say maybe that's the doctor checking your heart. You got that, great. Next aspect, emotional excitement. Maybe let's say that's the doctor checking your pulse. Next aspect we have is detachment or attachment. If you feel like if you were to lose something in your life, or lose opportunity or something, and you might say, oh man, I'd feel really bad if that happened. You're attached to that thing, like deeply. Realizing like it's good to have certain attachments though. I know sometimes people quote the quote by Buddha where it says, the cause of suffering is attachment, right? Yes, the cause of suffering is attachment, but it's only suffering when you don't know when to detach. So for example, if I have a cup of water, right? I have a cup of water, have the cup in my hand, I'm drinking the water. When there's no more water left in my cup, there's no need for me to keep holding onto the cup because it's empty, right? So what do? No more water in the cup? Two options. One, put more water in the cup to fill it up so I can keep drinking water, or detach, let the cup go, move on to something else. So in the same way, suffering for us happens when we don't know when to detach from the cup of water. When the moment is past, it's time to detach. So a lot of us, when something happens, when a change happens, it's like, oh my God, I still want to hold on to the cup. It's like, okay, the cup, it's gone. You have to let it go. So if you feel like you're in this moment, or you have moments where it's like, okay, this thing left, even this person left my life, the relationship, but I feel okay. You're practicing a sense of detachment. Not saying though, realizing you might be like, oh, isn't that wrong? Because I'm like not feeling empathetic. It's not about feeling a sense of empathy or not. You can still have empathy, but still be detached from it. It's another spiritual advancement. Being detached, but also being detached while still practicing empathy with a particular situation. Okay, so that's the third one. Last one I'm going to share in regards to spiritual advancement. How else do you know you're spiritually advanced? Personality. So I know a lot of people, especially a lot of spiritual teachers, who are like amazing at some of the things I've mentioned. They have amazing spiritual gifts, psychic abilities, clairvoyant, really great healers, great meditation teachers. They're really great at finding a sense of detachment in certain things. They sometimes don't let their emotions rile up in certain situations. But their personality is garbage. Sugar, honey, iced tea. Like, they are sometimes not the nicest people and very egotistical. So for me, the ultimate state of spiritual advancement is being able to combine all these amazing spiritual things I mentioned with having a beautiful personality. So not giving in to the ego, still being humble to people, still being kind to people, realizing at moments there needs to be tough kindness or tough love that's needed, because you also can't let people walk all over you, which I've had experience with that. People used to just do whatever they wanted. I was a placemat or floor mat. They used to just walk all over me. Okay, Kadeem, thank you for allowing me to wipe my feet on you. It's like, that happened a lot. But it wasn't until I learned this aspect, this moment of like, okay, well, I can still be kind, but I can still practice assertiveness, being assertive, having tough kindness, and not letting people walk all over me. So really, melding this personality, beautiful personality, with other beautiful spiritual gifts and abilities as well. So look at it now in your life, in these aspects. Do I have maybe potentially any spiritual gifts? Maybe you're an empath. That's also another spiritual sort of gift. Maybe I'm an empath. Maybe I can sometimes see clairvoyantly things. Maybe I can sometimes receive intuitive stuff. Okay, so there's some aspect of it, right? And if I want you to sort of rate yourself from 1 to 5, 1 being like, it's not that great. 5 being like, okay, this is pretty good, right? You have that aspect. You have the aspect of like, okay, are my emotions getting riled up in many moments? Okay, if they are, then maybe that's a 1. If they're not, maybe not so much. Okay, maybe it's like a 3. Okay, then am I practicing a sense of detachment with certain things? Okay, so right, so we'll see. Okay, that's 1 to 5. Okay, maybe that's like a 4. Then the second part of that is, am I practicing detachment plus empathy? Okay, where am I with that? And then your personality. Most people though tend to think that they're a good person. I will say that most people will say, my personality is great. I'm a 5. Let's be realistic. Like, where are you with your personality, right? So really grading yourself in these 4 areas to figure out, where is my spiritual advancement? How advanced am I spiritually? And in the aspects that might have a lower number, how can I grow? What can I do to be better? And realizing how to be better and in certain aspects to be better, you can do a variety of things regarding what it is. Meditations, other spiritual practices, reading holy books, connecting with a spiritual teacher, taking spiritual classes. I've also realized a lot of the work really is like cleaning stuff up. What do I mean? Sometimes we have so many things in our environment and our lives that's happened to us that have caused so much trauma, and like so many things that have just like beaten us down in life, that sometimes if we're able just to clean some of that stuff up, we can take off like a rocket ship. But we've been beaten down so much, it's like you have this huge weight on your shoulders. But sometimes I realize if we're able to clean some of that stuff up and like remove the garbage, remove the baggage, remove the heavy weight, you can really ascend into higher spiritual advancement. So if there's something you want to do, something you're considering, reach out to me. Message me here on YouTube, post a comment below. I'm on all the socials, not all, many of the socials, namely probably Instagram mainly, but also on Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat, all at Kadeem1. If you have any questions or comments about this, you want to find ways to enhance or increase your spiritual advancement, let me know. Reach out to me. I'm here to help and assist in any way that I can, because I realize that my mission here is to help people enhance their light. I like to say upgrade their light, because at one point my favorite song by Beyonce was Upgrade You. So I like to say, I like to upgrade people's light to help them be the best that they can be in life. And if they can upgrade their light, then they can upgrade the light of others around them. One of my life's missions. All right. That's all for this message, for this video. I know this was a long one, but thank you for staying with it and for listening to this discourse on spiritual advancement or spiritual success. Okay, take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.